Super excited to do this video today. This is one I've wanted to do for a while, and it's mostly been limited by my technological savvy more than anything else. But I wanted to show you what a day of eating looks like for me. And coincidentally, I've had a handful of people recently kind of bringing this topic up and asking me what I'm eating. So to kind of give a blanket opinion of what you guys are telling me, boy, you're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve. The general consensus seems to be that I'm eating perfectly 100% of the time, and my goodness, that is so far from the truth. So hopefully with showing you what a day of eating looks like, it's going to lower your expectations a little bit of what you need to do to be healthy. And I think you're also going to see that if you are making decisions that revolve around eating whole foods most of the time, the volume of food you can eat for very few calories is immense. So what we'll do at the end after I go through the whole thing is I'll give you some stats on it. I'll give you some of the macro measurements and the calorie total for that day, just to give you a frame of reference. But don't feel like you need to weigh and measure to eat healthy. And through this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to approach this and not weigh and measure and still hit your goals. That starts with two priorities, and you're going to notice this with every single meal that I go over. When I sit down to eat, I want two things. I want a protein, I want a piece of produce. Now, I do this at breakfast, lunch, dinner, and every single snack, for the most part. Some snacks do not follow those rules, but that's my goal each time. If you are just starting out, you may be saying, I'm going to do this with one meal a day or 2 meals a day, and then it should expand over time. But eventually, we can get to the point where we have these priorities every time we eat something. So, without any further ado, let's get into breakfast. So this is a standard breakfast. I probably eat this same breakfast most days out of the week. You see about 4 to 5 eggs worth of scrambled eggs. You see about half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of steel cut oats, a big handful of raspberries, a coffee, and there is a maybe less than a tablespoon of honey in those oats from a fantastic local apiary. Thank you, Betsy and Mark. So little things to be aware of. And I'm going to go over some of the compromises I would have otherwise made if this day didn't go pretty much exactly as planned. So you see the hot sauce on the eggs. I love hot sauce on my eggs, but I also have a soft spot in my heart for ketchup. Not ashamed of that. So some days I'll eat ketchup with the eggs. More times than not, I try to go with hot sauce so I can avoid eating too much ketchup because it does nothing for me, right? Other things that we do often for breakfast, instead of the oats, every once in a while we'll get a loaf of Dave's Killer Bread, and we'll have that in place of the oats. But I'm still gonna eat that fruit. And honestly, this portion of fruit is probably on the smaller side from what my norm is. I really want to make sure that I start the day with a big serving of fruit. That way, if the rest of the day goes off the rails, I still started it really well. But you see the priorities here. We have protein, we have fruit. There's even a little sugar in those oats. I'm not being totally strict even at breakfast. So, moving on to my morning snack, and I don't have a picture of this because it's really boring. It was a protein shake and a banana. So I use the chocolate whey from Thorne that we sell in the gym, and I ate a banana. So again, you see those two priorities pop up again. Protein, produce. Not much to go over on that. Next meal brings us to lunch, and you're gonna see something here that might look familiar if you made the first recipe of the month that we sent out, not this past month, but the previous month. This is the hot sauce chicken from that recipe. You see about 6 ounces of chicken, maybe half cup of rice, and some broccoli. What you also see here is that I made additional broccoli to eat with this meal. Because there's not a ton of broccoli in the meal, I want to make sure I have enough to actually say, yeah, I had a serving of produce at my lunch. Today it happened to be broccoli, but other days it might look different than that. That just happened to be what I had on hand. I got a steamer bag out, made some extra broccoli. And now I have leftover broccoli for the following day too. But on other days, if I didn't have that broccoli, it might look like chicken, rice, and an apple, or a handful of strawberries. Something. It doesn't matter what, I want to be able to check that box at the end of the meal. Did I have a protein? Did I have some produce? Moving on to my afternoon snack. This one was a really quick, easy one. I had some mango that was cut up, and I had a sweet potato apple fuel for fire. So those are the smoothies we sell in the gym. They have somewhere between 10 and 12 grams of protein, and then I had the mangoes. So protein, produce, again, setting up those priorities for my meals. And then the last main meal of the day, our dinner, was tacos. This is exactly the recipe that we just sent out in this month's newsletter with the avocado salsa. So what you see here is about 7 ounces of ground beef and then an almost equivalent portion of that avocado salsa. Because that is my vegetable for this meal, I made sure I had a pretty large portion of it so that I can count that as a serving of vegetables. Now, if you don't love that salsa at all, or you just don't like it as much as I do, this would be a great reason to have something else, an add-on, an additional vegetable or fruit or something, so you can say that you got a full serving of vegetables or fruit at that meal. Now, this meal sometimes looks different. This night when we ate, we didn't have any tortilla chips or taco shells in the house. Otherwise, I probably would have had some of those with this meal. Now, when I get tortilla chips, I try to get all corn chips, or at least corn is the first ingredient in the chips. And I try not to eat an entire bag of them, although I get close sometimes. So that's one little concession that often happens with this meal when I eat it. And then after dinner, I almost always have a snack. Tonight's snack, I didn't take a picture of either, because again, these snacks were kind of simple and boring, but I had some mixed nuts and some dark chocolate chips. I get the mixed nuts from Costco. It's almonds, pecans, I forget what else, macadamia nuts, cashews, handful of other things, and then just some Nestle dark chocolate chips. I eat about a quarter cup, maybe a half a cup of the nuts, and then I just grab a small handful of the chips and throw them in. My best guess is it's probably 2 or 3 tablespoons worth of those chocolate chips, and that kind of rounds out my day. So if we kind of look back at general themes, we don't see a ton of processed food. That is intentional. The chocolate chips jump out as the big thing. Had I eaten ketchup or bread, those would fall into some processed food categories. But other than that, it's all whole foods that have kind of 1 or 2 ingredients, and that's it. That is the thing that allows me to not have to measure and weigh everything. Because I know if I make my diet mainly whole foods, and I know if I prioritize my meals to have a protein and some produce, I'm going to have a really hard time eating 3,000, 3,500 calories in a day. So when I totaled all of this up for myself, it ended up being about 172 grams of protein, 179 grams of carbs, and 111 grams of fat. Now for me, my protein goal is somewhere around 130. So exceeded that. That's really good. I didn't even need that protein shake. I could have done without it and still hit my goal for that day. I was actually under on my recommendation for carbohydrates, and I was right in line with what I should have done in fat. Now, I eat a little more fat than many people would, and the only reason I do that, and it is not for a health reason, is because those are the foods I like. I want to eat eggs every day. I want to be able to eat red meat every once in a while. I love avocados. I want to be able to eat nuts as a snack. So for me, I eat a little bit more heavily skewed towards the fat, and I tend to eat fewer carbohydrates because of that. But even if I had the chips with my tacos, my carbs would have been in line or still even below what my goal for that day is. So again, the flexibility that this approach gives you. So I hope this simplifies things a little bit. I hope it makes you feel better about some of the decisions that you're making. And I hope that it kind of breaks this feeling of restrictive eating, that we need to cut all these things out to be healthy, when in fact the volume of food you can eat, if you're making good decisions, is incredible, and you're going to feel like you're eating all day if you are truly just eating whole foods and still hitting your calorie goals, or whatever your goals happen to be. So 2,300, a little over 2,300 total calories is what this day came out to be. My goal is 2,500 a day. So I'm actually a little bit under. So if I would have had some of those compromises, some of those less healthy foods, again, still I'm pretty much in line with where I want to be. So if you do have questions about this, what I ate in a day, or just some of these concepts in general, please ask. If you like this video, let me know, because I'd like to do other ones if you guys are interested. I can even show a day that does not go to plan, and I can show you how I'm working around letting a day be a complete wash of bad decisions about nutrition. We can also get the other coaches involved. So if you're curious to see what a day of eating looks like for them, we can shoot some different kinds of videos. But yeah, let me know if you have questions. Let me know if you like this video, and we'll get you some more. All right, guys, have a great day.